As the saying goes, if it's working, don't touch it. Now, let's be honest, as developers, we like making changes and improvements to our code. Now, imagine this: you decide to make a few tweaks to your code base, and suddenly everything breaks. The code isn't working, and you know you've messed up big time.
It's
Now, you
not
are
coming
stuck
out.
thinking, how can I go back to the
It's not
version that was
coming out.
actually working? That's where Git
It's
comes
not
in.
coming out.
Without Git, you would probably have to create multiple files for every small change you make. Something like project version 1, project version 2. And when you are really pissed off, you just go project version final, real final. Imagine you have four developers working on the same project. Each one makes their own changes, and at the end of the day, you want to combine everyone's idea into one single version. Without Git, you have to manually copy and paste their changes. And of course, you end up getting a messy, time consuming, error prone process. That's where Git comes in. Git is a version control system. In fact, the most popular version control in the world. It helps you track every change you make to your code, go back if something breaks, and safely experiment new ideas. Git simply makes working in a team very, very super easy. With Git, multiple people can work on the same project at the same time and later merge their work together. Now, there is something that often confuses people: the difference between Git and GitHub. So, now let's clear that up. Git vs GitHub. Git is a tool you install on your computer, as we would be doing in the next 5 minutes. It helps you manage different versions of your code locally, even without the. Now, with GitHub, you don't have to download 4-hour courses to start GitHub, right? Now, Git and GitHub are two totally different stuff. As I explained, Git is a tool on that we can install on our PC and helps us track and manage the changes we make to our code. That's basically what Git is. GitHub, on the other hand, is an online store for folders. That's basically what GitHub is. So, as you can see, in my GitHub account. So, if you want to create a GitHub account, just search github.com and create your GitHub account. Now, to start with Git, you just have to navigate to your Chrome and search Git SCM. You quickly navigate to your Git SCM, navigate to install, and install the version of Git depending on the PC you are using. So I'm going to click on Windows and let's see. Um, this is the Git version that I'm downloading. So you can see 1 minute more. So after your download is complete, you get an exe file, right? So you navigate to that exe file and follow some 3 or 4 steps. Then you are done with your installation. So after you are done with the installation, as is visible here, I'm in my Visual Studio Code, but it's not necessary that you use your Visual Studio Code. You can just search and navigate to your search section and just click CMD and open your command prompt. Now, to check if GitHub has been installed on your PC, you can just use the command git two dashes and the version. And if Git is installed on your local machine, you have the version here. Now, your version might be different from mine because I kind of installed mine some time ago. You can also check the version using the Visual Studio Code terminal. Let me quickly set this up. So let me move this to the right. Okay, so I think it's better now. So in my folder called Git, this is my folder, and I can just check whether Git is installed by using the same command, git two dashes and the version, and I get the same result. So as I explained, Git is used to track our files on our local machine. That's basically what Git is doing. Git is kind of independent of GitHub, right? So we can use Git alone without using GitHub. So to use Git, we have to set up our personal stuff, because Git helps us track our files. It tracks who saved the files and tracks when these files were changed. Git helps us like work with people online and the rest with the help of GitHub, of course. So to do that, we can use the command git config dash dash global, right? Global. And we can set our user dot name, and we can say Benedict, right? So let me just use Ben for now. You can also use the same command username dot email, and this time you don't have to use this double quotes. You can just use your email, right? So let me use a random email, paloma1 at gmail.com. So we've set up our two details for Git. Now in your everyday life using GitHub, you will rarely be using these three commands, because of course these stuff are just needed when you are starting. Git has a lot of commands to use, but honestly, you are just going to be needing about 7 of them, and we are going to be going through them right now. So to check these details that you've inputted, you can use the command again git config, but now we don't use the user.name, we just use one hyphen and an e. And as we can see, we are being told to wait for the editor. Yes, so we have our email, we have our name, and we have our Gmail, so which I think I made a mistake some time ago. Yes, so this is our details that have been configured into Git, right? Git. If I say GitHub in this section, please forgive me. It's Git that we are doing. Git is a tool that helps us track our files, but GitHub is just the online store that we save our files on. That's basically the difference. As I explained earlier, I'm in my Git folder. Now, in the world of Git or programming, we use the more sophisticated term directory. So you'll be hearing directory, directory. Directory just means that a folder in GitHub terms, right? So this just means that we are in the Git directory. Okay. So to start in GitHub, we have to initialize. We have to just start it, right? Initialize literally means start, and it literally makes sense. So we can have git init, okay, and we get a message initialize empty git repository in this location. Now, git is a directory, but an initialized git directory becomes a repo, right? A repository. Or that word is quite big, so pardon me if I use the short form repo, right? So when you initialize git in any folder, a new file is created, the .git file. So let's quickly navigate to our git folder and let's look at something. Oh no, this is a wrong folder. Where's my git folder? It should be up here. Yeah, so this is my git folder, and my folder looks empty. But let's look at something. Let's go to the view section, show and hidden files, and voila. As we can see, we have a .git file that is hidden. So of course it's hidden for a good purpose. You don't have to be like exploring what's inside. Don't change anything anyway. This .git file just helps you to track what you are doing. It stores the date and your basic details. Yeah. So now we've been able to initialize our git repo, set up the basic stuff, our email and the rest, and check our details using the git config global and 1e. Okay, so let's quickly create a new file, and let me call this file ben.txt. So you can just put your name there and ben.txt, then we have a new file, right? So we have our ben.txt. Okay, it's totally empty. So as I said earlier, we can use Git without GitHub. Okay, so let's say I am Ben. Now there's something in Git called, let me quickly increase my brightness. There's something in Git called adding folders to your Git, right? So to add, we just use the command git add, then the name of the folder. So we have ben.txt, and when we run this command, it looks like nothing happened. Now the thing about GitHub is that if you are right, 99% of the times, like you don't get it, you don't get anything. But we can check if this file has been added by using the command git status. As you can see, we have a new file here, and they've tagged this as changes to be committed. Now there's something called commit, and there's something called add, right? So these two are two different stuff. So let's go to our drawing board and let's see how these two are different. So to push a code, so the purpose of Git is that it helps us track our folder, and in the long run we want to save this to our GitHub, which is the online shop in which we save our folders, right? So we have this section, let's call this add, so a, then we have another section, let's call this a commit, right? So we have this circle, then we have this, we will come to it soon, we have push, right? So this is our add. So the add just separates files that we want to keep. So it's the first section of storage, right? So we just add the files just for safekeeping. Okay. So after we've added the files and we are sure that okay, the files are good enough to be sent to GitHub, our online store, then we can do git commit. Now what this commit is doing is that it gives your add a message. Okay, so you commit the files in your add section to your commit section by using the command git commit. Okay, so when you commit, you give it a message which is compulsory, then after you can push your code to GitHub when you are okay, right? So let's quickly do so. So as you can see, we've added the file to GitHub, then we have on branch master no commit yet, changes to be committed, um new file ben.txt. So they spoke of something here and they called it a branch. Okay. Now, as I explained earlier, a repo is just like a repo, right? Or a folder. It's just like an online store or our low battery, an online store. And in the folder, we can have sections. Okay. So we can have sections of the same folder, and that's where the branch comes in. So branch is just different sections of our online repo or even our local directory. Okay, so to check the branch we are on, we can use git branch. Oh, they didn't give me any feedback. Okay, that's very strange. Git branch didn't give me anything. I'm really surprised. I'm very surprised. Maybe there's a bug in my code. I'll check it later, but you can quickly look that up. But I would like to switch between these branches and use the main branch. So in Git Hub or Git usually we have two default branches, the main and the master. Okay, so let me quickly switch to the main branch. So we just use the command git check out, then we use this b, which I have no idea why they even bring it because it makes no sense, right? Main, then switch to the main branch. So let's again use git branch and let's see. Oh, nothing is showing again. So let me quickly go to ChatGPT and let me go and ask Chat that how can I check the branch I'm on GitHub. Chat is not replying. Wow. Okay, so let me just use Gemini. How can I check the branch I am on in Git? A lot of typos there. Let me see what Gemini is saying. So git branch, yeah, git branch should actually tell me the branch I'm on. So I was kind of right, but it's not telling me the branch I'm on, which makes me very, very, very surprised, right? So let me just use git status and let's see on branch main. Yeah, so the switching of branch has worked, but my git branch is surprisingly not working. So please check that up and let me know if it's working on your section, and let me know if maybe there's a bug in my code that I'm using. So let's create a new file. Let's call this file Moses. I'm sure there's somebody else there called Moses. So let me use moses.txt and let's try something. So hello Moses. So let me do something real quick. Let me use git status and take particular note of this. As we can see, we have untracked files. Then we have changes to be committed. Now, when we add a file, right? When we add a file to GitHub, right? We stage that particular file. We stage is like you are on stage preparing to deliver a show or something. You see, it makes no sense anyway, but yeah, that's the best example I could. So you are on stage and you stage this file, you are getting ready to commit. Now, the file in red is just telling us that, um, bro, I'm here, like you haven't done anything to me. This file is not being tracked, the changes are not being tracked. Like that's basically what the Git, like when you create a folder, you get. So to track this folder, as we've done in the case of the ben.txt, you use the git add, then the particular folder. If you want to add all your files, you just use the command git add, then you use the dot sign, it adds everything. Okay, so when you use this, we can come to git, we can just code, is the English correct? Just, yeah, the English, I think we can manage with the English. So let's go git status, then we can see changes to be committed, new file. Wait, is my recording going ongoing? Okay, so it's actually working. So to commit our changes, we can use git commit m, and we have progress, right? So we are making a lot of progress right now. So two files change, two sections, and blah blah blah. Yes, so it gives you this. Okay, as we can see, we've done a lot of git, and there is no GitHub. So if you've created a new branch in GitHub, you can just come and navigate to this section, create a new repo. If you can't find it, just like go through and navigate and just try and do something. Okay, so let's call this practice. Okay, because you are, nope, let's call this progress. Okay, you can call it any number of your choice. Actually, it doesn't have to be. So let's click on the create new repository, and voila, we have a new online folder which is in GitHub. Okay, you can use either, we have GitLab and Git buckets, which I haven't used before, but you can explore them. But GitHub is the most popular one. So there are various commands on this GitHub. These are Git commands. Okay, so let's quickly go through them. This helps you create the echo here, helps you create a file, a readme file. What this readme is that it's just a file that helps you to 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 see the changes you've done in your code, right? Just a recap of everything you've done. So we saw the git in it. So in your new folder that has committed no crime, you can initialize a git inside that folder by using the code git in it. After, you can add this readme file. You are adding this readme file to your git. As we saw, git add adds a particular file. Wow, I think my English is kind of improving. I'm starting to slang a little bit here. We are making some progress. So git commit first message. So git, this is our git commit and our message, right? And of course, git branch, we are setting the default branch as main, and you can add a remote origin. So I want us to take particular note of this because this is what we've actually not done. So let's copy and paste this because as you've seen, actually the typing I'm typing is really going in the wrong direction. So git commit add origin, and we have our GitHub URL. Okay, so we can run this code and nothing happens. So 99% of the time, it means we are on track because Git doesn't really care whether you do something rightly or not. Sometimes it just gives some thumbs up, but often if you do something wrong, it just flags you out, right? So let's quickly check the whether our GitHub has been added to our local Git by using the code git remote or remote then hyphen v. Now we have our Git URL, our GitHub URL here, which shows that okay, so I've added this directory to our we've just made a connection between our Git and our GitHub. So to push this code to our GitHub, right? So from our board here, we can see that first we add the file, we stage the file, we come to the commit and we push, right? The push is very nice. So we have git push origin, then we have main, then just a few minutes. You need internet connection to do this. Wow, wow, wow. So I'm having an error, right? I have no idea. Permission to needed denied. Okay, so I just created a new file, right? A new file which I haven't used before. I'm using it for a different account, so I'm being flagged an error. So let me quickly. Oh, now I'm getting this. So let me just copy this code. I'm going to chat GPT to ask Chat that why isn't this working? I know the reason why, but let's try and do the debugging together. Okay. So usually you should read. If it doesn't make sense, then you just use Chat GPT to try and debug what's wrong. Okay, so let's use Chat GPT. So Chat GPT is saying that you don't have permission to push the code to this. Okay, so I have a GitHub account already. I'm using my friend's GitHub account because he doesn't really use it, so he just gave it to me to use it for my personal stuff. Yes, I didn't ask him permission by the way. So let me quickly create a new repo in my normal GitHub so that we quickly do that. But that's why we had to add the git config dash dash global, the username and the rest. So the email should match the email that you use to create your GitHub account, right? I hope that makes sense. So if you have that, you shouldn't be getting any errors, and you can just debug if you are also having like problems like me. So in the next 2 minutes, I'll quickly add a new directory to my Git, and we continue. So I'm back and I'm having my new repository from my original GitHub account. So let me check the repository I'm on git remote v. So let me quickly remove this repo, right? This repo. The repo is really benefiting me. My PC is dying, so I'll have to wrap up very quickly. So git remote then remove, right? Okay, so we have to add an origin, my original file. So git, let me just use this shortcut. So it's empty, so I can add my new URL for my original GitHub account. So we can do the push to this GitHub account and everything should go through. Let's just pray this goes through. What? Hey, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. My PC wants to die. And voila, we have this. Okay, so we can quickly do the refresh and and then and yes, and we have our ben.txt and our moses.txt. This is the commit message we give. Okay, so we can navigate through this section and we can see we have just one branch. We have the main branch. So we can add, so we can switch to a new branch. So git switch, or let's use the checkout because the checkout is the modern way to do this. The git switch also works. You can look that up and see what it does. So we switch to a new branch master, and let's add a new file. Let's see, let's add this new file, add new file. Then so there's someone in the class also called Kofi. Yes, so Kofi is a Ghanaian name for someone born on Friday. So let's add this Kofi, and Kofi is saying, hey everyone, everyone, right? So let's add this file quickly by using git add, which adds everything up. Commit message, welcome Kofi. So git push. Now our origin becomes master. As I said, when you are pushing to GitHub, you need internet connection. I spent days and thought my terminal was broken or something because I didn't know that I have to push the code to GitHub. You don't have to know everything in GitHub. You just be using just a few commands, and you learn along the way as you while you build new projects. So my PC is quickly dying. I think it dies at 5%. So let's do one more stuff, right? One last stuff. Then so I'm creating a new folder, right? A new folder, and we are going to do something real quick. So where's my create? I don't know why my create is not working. So create folder. So you are in a new folder. Select. Okay. So I'm creating a new folder, right? A new folder. So for instance, your friend has a public GitHub project, right? And he wants you to clone it. What the word clone means is to have a local copy of that project, right? So it's that simple. So we are in a new folder. We have to make this directory a repository, like an online shop, right? We have to initialize get in it, right? I'm giving some bars over there. So we've initialized git, and we can use the command git clone, then the URL of the site we want to clone, right? So let me quickly delete the surplus. Oh, so git clone, then we have this and cloning git. So within a few minutes, I think my internet is slow, that's why it's a little bit delayed. And as you can see, we have our bend.txt and our moses.txt from our GitHub repository. Now, and this is why you need GitHub, because GitHub saves your folders and it just helps you to get them back when you need them. So thank you very much for joining this section. If you enjoyed this section, please click on this subscribe button. I recorded this section I think 24 times. This is my 25th time. So your subscription really, really, really matters to me. Thank you very much. Bye.